Welcome to Hey Clarity. I'm your host, Lindsay, and today we're doing a collective Akashic Records reading on the Sagittarius New Moon. The questions that we're going to ask are, what is the general energy of this new moon? How can we best navigate it? What story is unfolding for us from now until the corresponding Sagittarius full moon on May 31st, 2026? So if you want to circle that date on your calendar for 2026, you can do that. What intentions are best to set under this new moon? And what's the most important message we need to know? Let's get into it. What is the energy of this Sagittarius new moon? It's like a whirlpool, almost like a portal, like a vortex. I'm seeing like a whirlpool like pulling us down, but it's kind of fun and adventurous. So it's like we're going deep down into this like emotional landscape. Some of us might call it darkness, some of us might call it shadow work. But it's going for a bit of a ride. And I don't get the feeling that just because we're going down that it's like painful or hard or negative. It feels kind of fun. So it's almost like we're surfing the waves of like our darkest places. So they're saying like, pay attention to that. And I'm getting that like, you might like, almost like you can't not go into this whirlpool. Like you can't not go into this like portal that's bringing us down. And it's almost like, so there's like this ocean spinning, this whirlpool, and then we're going down into it, but there's like space for us to breathe at the bottom of it. Almost as if we're like at the bottom of a well looking up. And it's like, yeah, we're in this darkness. It's like around us. We're in this whirlpool of darkness around us, but like in our immediate, independent, individual space, there's air to breathe. Like there's light coming through. There's like a skylight. And I just simply don't feel afraid. That seems like the bottom line. Is that we can get to like the base, we can get to the point, we can get to the root of like our shadow stuff, our darkness, and like everything's okay. Like it's all gonna be okay. We're recognizing like, all of the sides of humanity and why some of these like negative behavior patterns might come up in us at different times. But they're saying to be compassionate with yourself and be compassionate with others. And look for like those like juicy, tasty parts of your shadow, of your darkness, like those passionate parts. And I'm getting like what feeds it, what fuels it, what satisfies it. Because oftentimes trust, truth, authenticity, and integrity in our darkness and our shadow is because we're like afraid of it. We think it's bad. We get caught up in like guilt and shame as opposed to just being like paying attention to like the truth of it and like trusting in yourself to be this whole version of you. Like you are wholesome, you are whole in a more balanced understanding and like respect for your whole self, which is your light and your dark, and both of them, this interception of both of them, and all of the growth that can come up, that does come up, and that will be coming up in you once you just have a look around at the base of this whirlpool. So, and again, it's like, I don't get the sense that there's actually a choice for us to be going into this or not. We're just getting sucked into it, period. Like collectively, globally, individually, like this is a time for that, like going inward and going deeper into the connection with yourself. Who are you? Like base, point blank. What have been your big arching patterns like throughout your life? What's your lifestyle like? It's almost like we're looking at ourselves almost as if like we're like dating a new person, like getting to know each other, because we are in this like new skin. All of the things that we've like shedded throughout the year of 2025. So we're looking at this part of us and just being like, all right, like almost like what are the cool parts? What are the passionate parts in this like shadowy darkness? And like what of that do I want to keep and save? And what if it could be expressed in a more authentic way so we can maintain this like wholesome integrity and still like almost like hugging and embracing our shadow, our darkness, being compassionate with it. Because it seems like the reason it comes out sideways, wrong, harmfully towards others is when we don't have an understanding or have compassion for it. Like that's your problem. And guilt and shame, I'm getting these like really thick, dense walls of guilt and shame will keep us from expressing and like going into those dark, shadowy places. So that's the energy of this. It's of the Sagittarius New Moon, is we're getting pulled into this whirlpool of our darkness and our shadow. There's nothing we can do about it, and we're going to have a look around. And they're kind of saying like, almost like as if we're riding this like ocean wave, and the ocean water is like black, but it's beautiful. It's like, what? Like a black ocean? Like how unique, how strange, how bizarre, like the weirdness of surfing on a black ocean. But they're like the depth, the expansion, almost like the comfort in like pure blackness and darkness. It's so, they're saying it is comforting. They're like, when seeds are held into the darkness of the earth, they're comforted, they're held in this like soft or like moist, nutrient dense darkness. That's where the seeds are planted, in the depths, and that's how they grow. There's nutrients there. And they're reminding me of like the collective subconscious and the underworld, and how this is such a dark, rich place. And so there's a bit of that as well. Okay. How can we best navigate it? They're like, it's not a choice. It's almost like it's been decided, like from the heavens, from spirit. It's been decided within us collectively. It's been decided, individually, that we all deserve to be better. And we all want to have a look around at this to kind of figure it out. And they're like, you'll figure it out. Like you're going to figure it out individually. And then that's going to like, a benefit collectively. So it's almost like our higher selves have collectively decided, like, we're going in, we're going to do this. We're going to get to like the bottom of our old behavior patterns and like figure out this darkness and this shadow that's within all of us, and how it has negatively impacted or been harmful to the people in our lives or the world at large. So they're like, you're going in, like, let's go in. So what story is unfolding between now and the corresponding full moon in Sagittarius on May 31st, 2026? What story is unfolding? I'm just seeing us like playing with our shadows, like literally like leaping in a field, like very childlike, playing around, and like our shadow is attached to us. right? Like we're seeing our shadow, the sun is shining down on us, we see our shadow on the ground, and we're running with our shadow. It's like almost like we're playing games with our shadow, being way more playful and even artistic, even like the artistic creative expression of our darkness, like, and dark humor and dark comedy. Like they're just like, go there with it, you know, have a laugh at it. And they're saying like, be frank. Such a specific reference. Be frank. And then they're showing me like Donnie Darko and Frank the rabbit. Like, what? They're like, yeah, like that, like this artistic creative expression with your darkness. Like artists create art around your darkness and make it funny and make it whimsical and make it witty and make it clever. But hit deep, like hit the deep root. You know, push past the guilt and the shame, push past the fear, and like kind of like pull out the like juicy, nutrient dense information that you get from it. Because they're like, there's a lot there. So like create from that place. Make your, you know, dark poems. And like, even if you know, they're saying confession, like even if you like confess this stuff, whether it's in like a journal or you write poetry or you write a letter or whatever, like there's something about confessions of your darkness, of your shadow. Oh, interesting, to other people. Like some of it is like to yourself and some of it is to other people. So like you might write this like dark, violent journal entry or poem or something just to kind of get it out of your system, to express yourself. And then you might read it back and like laugh. They're like, you might have a giggle, you know, and that like lightens it up. It's like, wow, like that's some sick shit that just came out of my head. You know what I mean? Like, what? And they're just like, that's totally human, you know, create from that place. It just, when it's not authentically expressed in some way, then it comes out sideways into these harmful, hurtful ways to other people, and it gets much more serious. But if you have this like creative, healthy outlet, this safe containment of the outlet for your dark and your shadow, like this can be fun, this can be playful, this can be outrageous and absurd. And they're just like some of the greatest artwork, the greatest horror films, you know, some of the most disturbing like stories and books are written about our darkness. Like put it in those places. And they're like, that's where they belong. It is such a huge part of our creative self-expression. Our darkness is such a huge part of that. And they're like in something about ancient times and old world stuff and evolution, just like, you know, in some ways, like we've come like a really long way from an evolutionary perspective as far as like violence and darkness and cruelty and evil. But they're like, there's still plenty of that here on the planet. Like in the history of like humanity and the history of human nature, like humans are very young. And so we like to think that we're more evolved and more peaceful and more harmonious than we necessarily are. And there is such an innate animal instinct in us that comes from like fear and survival in nature. And so it's like they're like the shedding of nature. It's like shedding of that part of us. And it's more just like because we're intelligent and we're smart enough that we can live more peaceful, harmonious lives. We can do it. We have the intelligence, we have the awareness as human species to strive. We know we have like evolved in a way where we have a sense of like what's good and bad, what's evil, right? What's cruel, what's hurtful, what's harmful. We have this emotional capacity. Most of us have this emotional capacity to know, to have empathy. and compassion and know when something is hurtful and harmful. And they're like, but there are many other people on the planet that just don't have that gauge, or that gauge is broken. And they're like, there's nothing you can really do about that. That's so specific. But they're just like, get involved in your evolution, this next level of it. And we're on different levels of this evolution. And some of it could be like affected. We could drop into places based on like mental and emotional health issues, mental and emotional health challenges, trauma, PTSD, violence, all the things that impact us, where we may have been on a steady path where our mental health was balanced, and then something happened that drops us, right? It drops us. It kicks us into this emotional imbalance and our trauma. And then that's when our fear, survival, animal instincts come up. And that's when we might be harmful and hurtful and violent, and things come out sideways. They're just like, there's so many layers to this, but they're saying like, kind of like, let's just like contain this conversation and just say that to be aware of what they mentioned about the state of our evolution, but also to know for us here, who I'm speaking to, that our containment of it, our clever, authentic, true self-expression of our darkness and our shadow, our evolutionary next level of working with it is creative self-expression and art and writing, making movies, whatever. So they're like, be the people who channel that and pour that into art. Because what you're doing is you're giving whoever your audience is of whatever you're creating, you're giving them an outlet for that dark, dirty, deranged thought. You're speaking to people on a level that might be their deep, dark secrets. And maybe they read the book, or they read the poem, or they hear the song, or they see the movie, and they see it play out, and they feel seen. And that's all that needs to happen. It's like, oh, this thing that I've thought that I'm so ashamed of, I see it in someone else's artwork. And so I'm not the only one. I'm not alone in this deep, dark disturbance that's in my thoughts sometimes. They're just like, the thoughts are totally human, and they belong, and they're authentic. Our evolution is calling for us to express it in more interesting ways, more creative, more intelligent ways, because we can now, because our evolution has come to that place. But again, some people are not there for various reasons. That was a huge message. Oh my God. Okay. And I felt like I could keep going, but yeah, that's a lot. What intentions are best to set? What intentions are best to set under this Sagittarius new moon? To get creative with it, to play and have fun with it, like plan to have fun with it. Like, let this be one of your fun, deep, personal things that you get into over the next, or like 6, 9, 12 months. Like, I feel like this could play out through the entire year of 2026 and almost like turns into this like beautiful artistic renaissance of just people putting the darkness in constructive places. Still being honest, still being authentic, and sharing it, and just putting it in a place that's safest so that other people aren't harmed, right? Anything else? They're just big. They're like big, creative. Get big, get creative. Get creative with your authentic expression, whatever that is for you, Are you singing? Are you songwriting? Are you writing books? Are you writing poems? It could also just be for yourself. It doesn't have to be shared. It's just a place. They're like great authentic expression is rooted in truth, right? Not only does that resonate deeply with you because it is your truth, right? So you're getting clear and in alignment with who you are, but that is also the place where we connect deeper with other people. Because you're like, it's real deep connection. So they're like, you're going to get deeper connections from it. And they're like, people see you. They're like, I see you as I am. Like, I see you in me, and I see you and me. So it seems like it's very important. It's like a big creative energy that is like sweeping the planet of just like, have fun, get playful, be adventurous, and create with your darkness and your shadow. What's the most important message we need to know about the Sagittarius New Moon? As we dig into these spaces, we might feel a couple things. Fear of the unknown. We might feel like raw and vulnerable and tender and triggered. So it's like, as we're all going deeper into these truths about ourselves and getting the whole picture, it might just like reopen some old wounds of like where they came from. And so it's like, be gentle with yourself and be gentle with others. Take your time. They don't need to be these big expressions of something. It could just be like super personal and very secret. They're like, obviously, like whatever you do with it is up to you. But keep in mind that you're not going in this place to like stick around or like fish through or like make the wound deeper, more painful. You're going into it to remove the guilt and the shame. And in that way, you're healing it more than ever. So if you feel triggered, vulnerable, raw, opened in this wounding, when you go into these dark places, they're like, you're going down and you're like putting like a sealant on all of it. So it doesn't hurt. You don't have necessarily like the visceral reaction or the physical anxiety. It doesn't feel as sensitive and tender afterwards. So it's almost like one big swoop down, having a look around. You're not spending a lot of time there necessarily. But when you go in there, you're going to do something with it, whether that's, make light of it somehow with dark humor or something, laughter or something, or make it beautiful. They're like dark and beautiful. And because you're resourced and you're capable going into this space, you're going down and you're essentially bringing the nutrients. Like you're bringing the new version of you down into these trenches and having a look around, and you are more resourced and you are more capable. So you can go into these places and patch things up and be like, okay, like I see that, I see that, I see that. So even if you have this initial feeling of like, oh shit, like I'm triggering this old thing, oh, is it back? Like, oh, and they're like, no. They're like, yes, but no. It's yes, but you're gonna do something about it this time. You're gonna do something with it this time through creative expression of some form. You're not staying down there. You're not leaving this wound open. It's like a big patch up. And it seems like if you go down into those places after this big time or whatever, this main time, if you go back down later, it's like, oh, I'm just visiting to have a look around. I'm just visiting to like you're less charged, you're less impacted from then on. It hurts less every time you feel triggered, or every time you're like touched in that way where it feels raw and vulnerable and sensitive. But it's like the big one, the big ones. And there's something about like every person has like 1 to 5, it's so specific. Like 2 or 3 is average, but like 1 to 5 like big traumatic events in their lives, from like baby, childhood, teenage, like throughout your life. Like we hold on to these big ones. And we've become more and more adaptive with them. And it seems like we're going into like the ones where we were the most innocent when we were hurt. So like maybe it is the youngest wound. And our youngest wounds, we were most likely extremely helpless because we weren't capable of taking care of ourselves, of saving ourselves, of treating ourselves the way we needed to be treated, whatever that is. So the deepest wound is when something harmful happened to you and you were completely helpless. So some of what we're going into are those places. And you don't have to like dig for it. They're like, you can, like if you want to kind of do that type of work, but you don't have to. It's gonna come easy. It's gonna come easily to us. It's not like, they're showing like, it's not like you like need to go to some practitioner and be like, I'm gonna dig up this like vicious, brutal wound of mine from being a child or an infant or whatever. They're like, you don't have to go in there like that. Like, it's gonna happen naturally. It's gonna happen easily. Like, no expectations. Like, you have no idea how you're gonna react or feel this when it happens. But it's gonna come easily. It's gonna come easier than you think. It's not a big deal. And don't forget, you're going in almost with a playful sense of humor. Of just like, all right, like, what is this thing? Let's have a look around. Okay, cool. And it's like facts and truth. Once the guilt and the shame are removed, you're left with the facts and the truth of your like authentic experience of like whatever it is that may have happened. So they're like, no expectations, don't be afraid of it, no anticipation of what it is, what it was. Like, you don't have to go digging. These things are just gonna pop up like, whoa, interesting. So go with it with the intention of being curious and, again, playful, lighthearted, dark humor, whatever. They're like, it's risky business. So have no anticipation of it. It's almost not up to you how it's going to be triggered. It's not up to you how you're going to go down into it. It's almost like it's being orchestrated by spirit, by the spirit realm. They're planting the seeds. They're putting the scenarios and the situations in front of us, kind of laying it out throughout the year of 2026. They're like, don't be scared, relax. Your guides are not going to let you like be harmed, right? This is not going to be painful. This is meant, again, as like dark humor. Like when you know the truth about a bad behavior that you might have, when you know yourself so well and the thing pops up, you laugh at yourself. You're like, oh, that thing again. You know, when it's true, you can laugh about it. When you're lying to yourself, that's when you get angry. That's what they're saying. We get defensive, we get angry, we get aggressive, we get protective when we're lying to ourselves about our darkness. When you know yourself, the truth of your darkness, you can laugh about it because it's true and it's less of a big deal and you have it under control. But when you're still lying to yourself, they're kind of like, and living in this fantasy of like, I'm a perfectly good person. I'm a good person. And they're like, what does that mean? That you're not harmful to someone? Okay, I'm not harmful to someone, but does that mean you're a good or a bad person? Just like you try not to be harmful. Great. The potential is within all of us because as humans in nature, our fears and our survival mode kick in and they're like, God knows what can happen. You do not know how you will react, what you will do in situations until you're in them. You cannot promise that you're going to be a good person every day in every situation. You cannot promise that to yourself and you cannot promise that to others. So the more you know about your darkness and your shadow, the more you can see it pop up when it happens, the more you can see the things that might trigger it to pop up, and the more prepared you are for when something does come up that could trigger you into being hurtful or harmful. And they're crossing out this like good person, this perfect good person, because they're like, oh boy, are there layers of bullshit in that. They're like some of the people who present themselves as these wonderful people are pure evil just under the surface. Pure evil, like our good and evil, right? The goal is to try not to be harmful to other people and to yourself, especially to yourself first, and then not to others. So that defensiveness, when people call you out on your shit, is because you're still lying to yourself. So like get to like the dark, authentic, nutrient-dense, juicy, creative, passionate, clever, funny, deranged, absurd parts of your shadow. And they're like, have fun. Create something beautiful from darkness. Create something hysterical, something thought-provoking. Because we will see mirrors of ourselves, and that will create a deeper connection and like a softer understanding of humanity. Okay? Anything else? Most important message. They're like, play, have fun. Play, have fun. Play, have fun. And no anticipation of like what it's going to be and how it's going to come about in your life. Just let it happen. Like no surprises. Like it's not going to happen the way you might think. So don't even try and figure it out ahead of time. Okay? It's planned and it's plotted by our spirit guides and our passed on loved ones. Like they've basically they're saying like booby traps throughout our year to like show us these little mirrors of ourselves. And when they show up, you're like, oh shit, ha ha ha, that fucking thing that I do. Okay? Okay. That's pretty cool. So that was the Akashic Records collective reading for the Sagittarius New Moon. I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.